Okay, let's dive in. We've got a source today that it just throws you right into this fascinating mix, doesn't it? Ancient myth meets almost sci-fi tech.
It really does.
Yeah.
We're talking about a grand story, but it's told through this modern ballad, and it features, a legendary king, this pilot figure, and a flying machine that sounds incredibly advanced.
Right. And the source itself is the Ballad of Ravana's Pilot by Wariyapola W. Nimol. So our mission really for this deep dive is to pull out the surprising details the author includes about this figure and his vehicle.
Yeah, those nuggets, as you say. What specifically does this modern interpretation tell us?
Well, it starts by really setting a scene, doesn't it? We're right there in Lanka, supposedly where this pilot flew, and the author mentions a cave
Mhm.
that still hums with echoes long. But here's the kicker. It's not echoes of chanting or anything, it's of engines lost and temple song.
Engines. That's a key word right at the start. It immediately signals we're not just in mythological territory.
Exactly. Like an electrical hum, almost, under a sacred site.
And that's the core puzzle here, isn't it? The lines between legend and, well, almost technical description, they get really blurred. The sheer power attributed to this ancient time is startling.
It really is. So let's break it down. First, the king involved. This wasn't just any ruler.
No, this is Ravana, a huge figure in South Asian epics. The ballad calls him the king of tenfold might.
Right, reminding us of his immense power, often the antagonist in the Ramayana, of course.
Mm,
And his crown, it says, once blazed with solar light. Sounds pretty intense.
absolutely. And a king like that, well, he'd need an exceptional pilot. The ballad paints this pilot as incredibly skilled. He's got golden eyes.
Golden eyes. What do you think that implies? Like literally? Or maybe focus?
Could be metaphorical, suggesting intense focus, maybe even wisdom,
Or,
or you could speculate maybe some kind of adaptation for high altitude or speed. The text leaves it open.
hmm. And the crafty flew.
That's where it gets even more interesting. It was apparently so formidable that, and I quote, the gods themselves had feared his name.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just like getting from A to B quickly. This sounds like a serious piece of hardware, maybe even a weapon.
Or just something world-altering in its capability, yeah. But then we hit the part that really shifts things, the point where it moves from epic story towards something like, well, ancient engineering.
You mean the fuel source?
Exactly. The author doesn't leave it vague. They name it. This is where you kind of stop and go, wait, what?
Okay, so what does the ballad say powered this thing?
It says the craft was one of molten flame, which sounds mythical enough, but then it gets specific. For Mercury, in molten streams, had powered his master's fiery dreams.
Molten mercury. Seriously, that sounds incredibly dangerous and heavy.
Right. It's toxic, it's dense, it requires immense heat to keep molten. From a purely practical standpoint, today, it sounds almost impossible, or at least wildly impractical.
So why pick mercury? Is it just symbolic?
Well, that's the puzzle the ballad throws at us, isn't it? From one angle, Mercury is incredibly dense. If you need massive power density for lift and speed enough to frighten gods, maybe, just maybe, there's some hypothetical physics where its properties are key. A sort of high heat, high pressure system, perhaps.
Okay. Stretching it a bit, maybe. What about the other angle? The symbolism.
That feels more grounded in history, actually.
Yeah.
Mercury, Quicksilver, has deep roots in alchemy all over the world. It was seen as this magical, transformative substance, linked to immortality sometimes, or transcendence.
So transcending normal travel, like flying.
Exactly. So the poet might be cleverly blending that alchemical mystery with a kind of imagined advanced physics, suggesting maybe their science and their magic weren't separate things.
Or maybe hinting that this power, based on something so volatile and dangerous, was inherently corrupting, tied to Ravana's nature.
That's a very strong possibility. It grounds the amazing tech in something physically real, but also inherently risky, maybe mirroring the pride that often leads to downfall in these stories.
And the launch definitely sounds risky. The description isn't smooth or elegant, it's violent.
Oh, completely. It says the pilot rose from Wariyapola Hill, and the takeoff made the sky grow red and the world grow still. It moved with wheels of light and thunder.
Wheels of light and thunder. Okay. So, not subtle.
Not at all. The language suggests just raw, immense power. The poet even adds details like tusked beasts roaring, the forests reacting. It sounds like the landscape itself is reeling from the energy release.
Yeah, like a rocket launch almost, but maybe even more forceful. This clearly wasn't just for, popping down the road.
Definitely not. If that's the kind of energy needed just to get airborne, they were planning on going somewhere far.
Which brings us to the next really interesting part. This wasn't just local travel. The ballad claims this pilot covered vast distances.
This is where the scoop just explodes, really. It suggests a level of ancient global connection that's, well, it challenges standard history.
So where did he go first?
The first specific destination mentioned is across the sea, Egypt's sand.
Egypt. Okay, that's a huge leap already from Lanka.
A massive leap. And the ballad suggests he wasn't just passing through. It says he traced the stars with steady hand.
Okay, so navigation skills, check.
Right. But then it adds he carved the code on desert stone of Lanka's gods and Lanka's throne.
Whoa, wait. Carved a code? Like leaving markers or messages?
It implies a deliberate act, doesn't it? Maybe navigation aids, maybe cultural markers, almost like planting a flag or embedding Lanka's signature thousands of miles away. He's not just exploring, he's marking territory in a way.
That's fascinating, but it didn't stop there, did it?
No, and this is where it gets even more geographically ambitious. The ballad says he traveled much further to where the Andes kissed the cloud.
South America from Lanka.
That's what the text claims.
Hmm.
Lanka to Egypt is one thing, but crossing presumably the Pacific or Indian and Atlantic Oceans to the Andes, that implies truly world-spanning capability.
That completely reframes things, doesn't it? Our perspective on ancient civilizations is often so regional. This paints a picture of prehistoric intercontinental travel.
Exactly. Using this mercury-powered craft, the pilot essentially treats the entire globe as accessible.
And did he find anything there? In the Andes?
Critically, yes. The ballad says he observed the local people and noted their lines and signs align with Lanka's peaks and temple shrine.
Align how? Like the Nazca lines, maybe? Or architecture?
Could be interpreted in a few ways. Shared geometry, similar symbols,
Mm-hmm.
architectural styles. The poem suggests the pilot recognized a connection, a shared pattern, linking these incredibly distant mountain cultures back to his homeland.
So if you pull back and look at the big picture the ballad is painting.
Yeah, it's effectively drawing a direct line through this one pilot's journeys, connecting mythological Lanka, ancient Egypt, and the Andes in South America.
And the vehicle, this mercury-fueled machine, is the key. It's not just transport. It's what enables this global perspective, suggesting these connections were known, or at least perceived back then.
Right. The implication is that maybe the world was more connected in that era, and the knowledge got fragmented later.
But like so many myths and epics, this incredible power and reach, it didn't end well, did it? The ballad includes a moral lesson.
It absolutely does, the classic theme. But pride was death, as stories tell. It suggests the very power they wielded contained the seeds of its own destruction. Even the pilot seemed aware of the inherent danger.
And the end, when it came, wasn't just a lost battle. The description sounds cataclysmic.
Oh yeah, elemental, almost. When fire met fire and towers cried, it says, the result was the earth being torn and the heavens sighing.
That sounds like more than just warfare. It suggests massive destruction, maybe environmental damage, the collapse of their entire civilization's infrastructure.
It certainly paints a picture of total system collapse, yes. And in the face of this, knowing the end was near, the pilot takes one final action.
To hide the technology.
Exactly. An act of concealment. He hid the craft beneath the land, sealing it, the poem says, with a trembling hand. And he whispers a warning. Let none awake this memory.
So the idea is that this incredible, dangerous tech isn't actually gone, just hidden, sequestered away.
That's the intriguing possibility the ballad leaves us with. Hidden, perhaps, to prevent it causing more harm, or maybe waiting. Though for what, it doesn't say.
And this connects back to the very beginning, doesn't it? That humming cave under the temple. The memory isn't totally gone.
Precisely. The devastation was immense, but echoes remain. The ballad reinforces this lingering sorrow by mentioning Sita's tears still wash the stone.
Sita from the Ramayana, a symbol of the suffering caused by that conflict. It ties the technological loss directly to the human and spiritual cost.
And that legacy isn't just a sad memory. The poem says sometimes when the wind is right, the mountain hums his silent tale.
Wow. So the machine, the war, the sorrow, it's all fused into the landscape itself, still resonating.
That's the image, yeah. A silent technological hum beneath the surface of myth.
So wrapping this up, what are the key takeaways for you listening to this? We've unpacked this modern ballad's take on an old myth, and it gives us some really specific, quite startling ideas.
Yeah, three main things stand out, I think. First, the sheer power and status of Ravana, the king this pilot served. Second, that very specific, very strange fuel source, molten mercury.
Right, the mercury detail is hard to ignore. And the third,
The scope of travel, not just regional flights, but genuinely global journeys connecting Lanka, Egypt, and the Andes.
it's definitely a compelling interpretation presented through poetry that invites you to think differently about ancient capabilities, doesn't it? The author uses these technical and geographical points to argue for a lost era of high technology.
So it really does push against conventional timelines.
And that idea of the technology being hidden, sealed away, that leads us to the final thought the ballad leaves us with. It's quite poetic.
Mhm. The last line suggests the stars still keep the dreams that gods and pilots sleep.
So if this knowledge, this power is just dormant, hidden beneath the surface, what does that really imply? Does advanced knowledge always get lost and have to be rediscovered from scratch?
Or is it cyclical? Does it just wait until maybe we stumble upon it again, ready or not? The ballad ends with this image of Ravana's sky and Lanka's pride still somehow burning beyond the ocean's tide, a lingering presence.
Something to definitely mull over. What dreams are still sleeping under the earth or maybe out there among the stars? A powerful place to leave it.